welcome back. I'll talk a little bit about my impressions of the Lynk Co and my visit to the Gothenburg Club. So I mean, they always talked about launch in spring. Everyone's been waiting on March, maybe April. It seems like all the cars, or the first cars, are at least arriving in April. That are meant for the customers. But I was told that the software is not ready, and the cars need to be updated with the new software before they go out to the customers. So we're looking at beginning of May, mid-May instead. I mean, that's the prediction they have right now. With software, I would say that they usually get even more delayed. Personally, I would like to have the car before the software is ready. I mean, if they can do test drives and so on, I think I need the mobility more than I need the services and the apps and so on. And as you know, I mean, the virtual test drives have begun. There is one video up with David Green doing a virtual test drive with feber.se, which I can recommend. There are a few details there that were not sort of known before. But my impressions from the actual Lynk Co Club and the car is, well, the car is bigger than it looks on the pictures. Feels a little bit bigger than the XC40 actually. The color, the blue color, is much nicer in person than on the pictures. I don't really think they've caught the details in the paint job, so that's a positive. I have been sort of harsh on the blue interior, and I didn't notice it, but it was quite dark in the club, so maybe in the light of day those would sort of bother me, but as of right now they felt okay. As for the Econile textile, I see that as a gimmick. It felt like, you know, synthetic textile, nothing more, nothing less. The infotainment was on, which was pretty great. I didn't expect that much, but it was actually snappier than I had anticipated. It did sort of miss me swiping a few times, so I mean, that's bad. That can be quite annoying. I don't know if I sort of hit the screen and it felt like a touch more than a swipe. Anyway, so the bad thing is that I think I opened the music app or something like that, and it took quite some while to actually open that app. The actual navigation was actually faster, and even though it sort of had to calculate the route, that was okay. I mean, in terms of Google Maps, or in line with Google Maps. Will be nice to see if that sort of navigation is as good as Google Maps. Lynk Co is using here, but I hope at least they've integrated sort of Google search, so you can at least find the place via Google and not some other software, because those are usually quite useless. The assistant, or virtual assistant, is called Frank. It had a female voice though. I didn't test it out. I could find the sort of log, the list with all the commands, which looked extensive, but I mean, it really depends on how easy it is to use. And again, I can't understand why anyone would use that instead of Google Assistant. The USB ports, I was sort of positively surprised. They have both USB-A and USB-C, as well as a 12-volt outlet in the front and in the trunk. So having both A and C, I think, is quite good. I also use USB-C, but my wife, she uses USB-A sometimes, so I think that was a good compromise. The infotainment system is not Android automotive, but David Green said in the virtual test drive that it's actually based on Android. They're not using Google automotive services, so they built sort of their own ecosystem. I think that's because they would get too constrained by Google, since now you can only do sort of charging apps, navigation, media, messaging, and I think Lynk Co want to do more. But again, I don't really understand why you would want your own ecosystem. I don't think that will be a long-term thing. Maybe they can keep that up for a few years. At least they have an Android-based system, so maybe the app development is easier than some other base, but still. There weren't a lot of apps installed. One positive was Spotify, which is really nice to have. Other than that, they had the sort of collab app where you can sort of suggest improvements or stuff like that. That was basically just a record button, so I think that is more of a gimmick. They also had the sort of Storytel, which is some sort of in-car game, but other than that I couldn't really find any additional apps, which I thought was disappointing, especially when they talk so much about sort of the car being like a smartphone. I would have expected some apps, but maybe they will sort of release that information soon. Today, ChargePoint released that they have a new app for the Polestar 2. I did use the sort of journey cam, which yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know how I would use that in real life, but it's there and it works. The overall build quality in the interior was actually quite nice, so I think it's in par with Volvo. I couldn't really find anything that annoyed me or that stood out. Overall, it was quite nice. The charging port was special. I have a video on Instagram where I'm trying to open it, and it was quite hard to get a grip. That would be impossible in the winter with gloves on or something like that, but then they showed me that you're supposed to double press a button inside the car and the charge port will pop out. It's actually based on electromagnets, so I think a few of them are holding the port in the lid in place, and then there's one that sort of pops it out. But let's see, you have to sort of use that to see if it's a good solution or not. I haven't seen that in any other car. Another detail from the virtual test drive was that David Green confirmed that there will be Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Both will be available wirelessly, which is excellent. I mean, I have seen so many cars that advertise, oh, you have the sort of wireless charging, which is so great, and you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but then you have to use the cable, so you basically can't use both at the same time, which I would have guessed should have been the point from the beginning. So I guess we'll have to see about that. So a few things that I actually missed at the club. So I didn't go through all the settings that were available. I did not try the sound system. They had music on, but I guess I could have closed the windows and just played some music. I did not sort of try the swipe down for notifications, which we've seen at least in the Chinese version. There are some sort of quick settings there. One thing that I couldn't do also was in the instrument cluster. I couldn't sort of change the view there because apparently that goes on when you actually turn on the car. And of course I didn't try the virtual assistant. But I guess we will see sort of more example videos. Hopefully we will have more and more sort of virtual test drives that really go through all these options. But overall impressed with the car. Can't wait to get it. And as I said before, I would actually like to get it with unfinished software. As long as you can use the actual car, I don't care if the app comes a month later or so. I understand that they want to release 100% ready software, especially after what has happened with both Polestar and the Volvo XC40 Recharge. I guess those customers are really disappointed. However, I don't think they will get to 100% software anytime soon. They need to get it out. They need to get sort of feedback from the users and so on. So thank you for watching. That was my sort of impressions from the Lynk Co Club. If you can, swing by. They were really nice. The place is quite nice. So thank you for watching, and hope you come back. Bye.